Thank you, Lo. All right, good morning. No. We will open with our opening song, and as you feel able and want to, stand up. Okay. All right. Welcome to the Louisville Center for Spiritual Living. It's our pleasure to welcome each of you and be appreciative of your being here this morning. So, as we begin, let me light a candle. And so we take a deep breath, feeling our presence, our essence, settle into our chairs right here, right now. And so we speak our word of truth, knowing that as we speak, Spirit says yes. And so we speak to the individuals here that they receive what it is that they're seeking, that they give what is theirs to give this morning. And we know that this service will be a blessing to all. And we know that the meeting after the service will be lively, informative, and give us great steps to take in the future. And so, with deep gratitude for the opportunity, deep gratitude for the fulfillment of all, we let it be. We call it good because it is good. And so it is. All right. Now, I believe that we have our announcements. Gordon?
Okay. So far, it's pretty much like it was last Sunday. Okay, featuring me. Okay, I'm here. All right.
Are you there?
I'm there.
Are you there?
Oh, now I'm there. Okay. Kind of like something from a country western song, though. I'm always here. No, how does that go? I'm always there, but I'm always here. I'm never around when you need me, though. Okay. To the thief who took my antidepressants, I hope you're happy. Very funny. Very funny. Yeah. Okay. Indian Hills Community Center. Okay. Coming next week, Take It or Leave It Day. Chile has its own Sunday, the third one, January 19th. Just around the corner, guys and gals.
Got my Sundays mixed up.
Here today, the 12th after the service, our 1-hour open discussion defining our center's future, what it looks like to each of us. Okay. Guest speaker, January 26th, Jane Elizabeth Smith. We've had her before, haven't we?
Yes. Yes.
That picture's a little outdated, but that's all right. That's okay. I thought I recognized her. Yeah. I don't know why I said that, but anyway. Practitioner of the day, Tammy, our Tammy Stephenfield. Meet Tammy up front. Anything else?
Power shower for power.
Power shower for power. More, be showered in power. Okay. Yeah. All right. And January's affirmation, everybody together. This is the year I will be stronger, braver, kinder, unstoppable, and this year I will be fierce. Yes. Tell your story. I'm going to start with a story. It's not really a story. I want to make sure I got my 2 bits in there. Okay. I got to get some credit for this. Margot, my partner, has been encouraging me to go see Little Women. And so I've gone to the Baxter, and day after day for 2 days, it felt like longer, it's all sold out. I mean, it's insane. They have like 8 showings a day, and it's all sold out all the time. And so instead of grumping about it, I decided I'm going to go to a different time. And so I finally did get in, but that was like the last ticket available like that. Because I don't buy online, I guess that's my fault. Anyway, it's a wonderful movie. If you've read the book, I think it's probably fairly true. The book. I have not read the book. Has somebody read the book and seen the movie? The movie is stunning. That's a guy's point of view. And I have to admit, I was about ready to leave midway. I mean, no car chases, no shootings. There wasn't anything like that going on. And I said, well, this is silly. This is supposed to be a great movie. I'm going to take a breath. And I did, and I'm so glad I did because it got really good then. But it was an amazing movie on so many levels that I think any and everybody can enjoy it. Another one, quite different though, is Midway. Now that's the story of the Battle of Midway in the Pacific. And some of you may have had a parent or somebody who was participating in that. But that is a very well done flick that is not just made to, get 13, 14-year-old boys to come. Okay, it's historically, it's very correct and accurate, and they show some of the conflicts that went on between the leadership of the different ships that were involved in that, and how important that was to win that particular battle of Midway in the South Pacific. Okay, now, real stories.
That was a real story. I have something I would like to share this morning.
Before real stories?
Maybe so. Maybe I'm a precursor to the real thing. Just very quickly, though, this happened last week, and I just really want to share it. You guys know that there is a practitioner corps that LCSL has, and this is a story of demonstrations that happened within the practitioner team. And it happened with such a confluence that I just really, feels like an update for the center. So I said it was last week, but it was like January the 3rd, maybe 2 weeks ago now. No, it was last week. So we meet on Friday afternoons, and on Friday mornings at 9:30, and Vernon and I had an appointment this last Friday when we were going to be meeting. So I had to tell him that I'm only going to be able to be here for a part of the meeting, and then I have to go. And this meeting that we had, I'm not going to get into the details of, but I mean, a pregnancy coming up to this meeting, and a real birth happening that has to do with a blossoming forth of our finances. So, and we did not know for certain exactly how this meeting was going to come out when we were going in. But certainly, I left the prac team with instructions that this is what we need, right? So I go off to the meeting, and Vernon, of course, is with me. And so we're doing our thing. And while we're doing our thing, the rest of the practitioners that were on that call were finishing their deal. And it's like a mastermind prayer circle where each one just gets to name what they're treating about, until the next thing. And so then we get to where we're going, and it turned out better than we could have imagined. And so then you know when something better than you have conceived, we talk about that your mental equivalent gets blown out, right, to the next level. So Vern and I are at this meeting, and we have no idea what's happening with the other people, but here we are. And this woman is delivering this news to us that this is just really going to be a fantastic thing. And he and I are kind of taking a few breaths, kind of letting it in. And I swear to God, within no more than 3 minutes, I mean, we just really got it. And I had just said to the woman, I said, so if I start hyperventilating and pass out, you'll know that this is why, right? And we got past that, and the fire alarm went off in the whole building. This is a 3-story building, and we just get this news, and all of a sudden, there's this huge evacuation. And we're like, okay, how much more extraordinary could this energy get? And we literally had to evacuate the building, and it was not on fire, but the firemen came and the whole deal, and people were watching me go down the stairs, because suddenly I'm going down like 3 sets of stairs, and it was all good. I mean, I can do that, but it's very slow. So I'm having to have the patience to know that there's this whole group of people that are making sure I get down these stairs, and I'm like, okay, it's all good. I can accept this, it's all good. Yes, I know, this is how important it was, and I can do this. So we get down the stairs, and then it was all done, and everybody went back to where they were going. And so Vernon and I were driving home going, wow, what a demonstration was that. And then we get home, and I've got messages on the email from the other practitioners. While that was going on, a physical demonstration got reported, and another woman got confirmation that she got a position that she's been only trying to get for almost as long as we were trying to do the other thing. So there were like 3 major demonstrations that all made themselves evident in one day, and within actually 1 hour. So I'm just saying, you cannot possibly treat enough. And thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. While you were speaking, you used the word, well, it's like confluence, I think. And I've been trying to think of a book that I've recently purchased that is absolutely stunning, and it uses the word consilience. And it was written in the 40s by a guy named E.O. Wilson, who's a social biologist. And his question for his whole life was the same thing, and this book is about the answer to that. But essentially, he uses the term spirit to identify that which is in any and all disciplines, but there's one theme that runs through it, through the whole thing. And it's kind of interesting to hear this social biologist, mostly the biologist part is where he comes from, talking about the unifying theme he feels is kind of like a God or a spirit movement between, and we're discovering that more and more. And some of you have also heard that quote by Einstein when he was asked by an interviewer how much of the world, of the known world, is rational. And he said, oh, I think about 5%. He says, 5%? You mean 95% is still unknown out there? We don't know it using our rational minds? He says, no, we probably never will. But that it's intuitively, it's intuitive. We know that, but it's not proven. 95% of the world, according to Albert Einstein, is unknown to us with our rational minds. So that was kind of cool, I thought, yeah, and very confirming. So thank you for, but when you said the confluence, because I couldn't think of the word consilience. It's such a funny word to use. It's an old term. But this was out of the 40s anyway, he was using it, which was the unity of all knowledge and the unity of all things from a scientific point of view. Yes, ma'am.
I have a story.
You were right up here, then we have a spot for you.
And I should have done a lot more treating. I had a engine light on my 2016 car with only 37,000 miles. And I know it had something to do with like a vapor lock, because once we'd fill the car up, it wouldn't start if you kept pressing. So I finally said, okay, I got to take it in. I'm not going to use the name of the dealership. I'm going to try to be as positive as possible. So it's going to go under diagnostic procedure this past Monday. I wait all day to hear something. I have very negative feelings, and I keep saying, Susan, you got to be positive, but I'm really learning to listen to my gut and my intuition. And the mantra would be, it's going to be done cheaply and quickly. So finally I call them, I leave a message, he calls me back. He goes, well, ma'am, it's still under diagnosis, but you have 2 problems with your fuel light. And each of those items to be replaced is going to be a total of $900. And while you're at it, your battery is only 68% producing, and we really recommend the top of the engine get clean, the valves, blah, 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 and that's a total of $1,600. And my natural thing is just to burst into tears, but I'm trying to hold it. And Steve's not around to hear all this. And I said, well, I can't afford that. And then I finally said, well, I guess I've got to get those 2 things done because my car won't start up. I can't keep, pressing on the accelerator till it fills up with gasoline or whatever. I said, but I'm going to call my boyfriend and explain all this. I tell it all to Steve. He says, no way, that's too expensive. And I call him right back. It's 10 minutes later. He goes, well, I said, we want to see a breakdown. We want to see the visual. Well, ma'am, I already gave that ticket back to the mechanic, and he really is still under the diagnosis procedure. I said, well, can I get it tonight? And he goes, oh, no, you can't get your car tonight. And I said, well, we're going to ride over there and look at the visual inspection. And he goes, well, you know what? I can send you an email. I said, great. So I wait an hour, no email. So I call him back. It was the wrong email, and he finally sends it. It's very unprofessional. He doesn't break down the labor and the parts. So I call back again, and I said, well, I want to pick up my car in the morning. And he goes, well, we had one of those parts in stock, so I'm not sure if the mechanic already put that on there. And he's left for the night, so when he comes in the morning, I'll find out the status of your car. I finally decided to involve my son. My son is livid. And he said, Mom, you've been taken as a woman. Don't you know better about dealerships? And I said, I know all that negative, but I have trust that they have the parts and they're going to take care of this. And this is a fairly new car, and I bought it secondhand, but only 13,000 miles. He looked up the parts online that any public person can do, and they were $50 each, the parts. And he said, okay, Mom, you call them in the morning, see if you can pick it up. If they say they've already charged for that one part to be replaced, you just say I'm at work, which I was, and I will get back with you. He said, I will go over there. And I said, please, be nice. You don't. Because he knows the son of the owner. He knows the son-in-law that's a big CEO and on and on. So I call in the morning. They go, well, the mechanic just came in. So we're checking the repairs that they've done, and I'll get back with you. I call my son. And I don't know anything else until about an hour later. He goes, well, Mom, it's probably going to all be taken care of. He said, I called up and said, I'm Matt Dumeier, the son of Susan Dumeier. I'm picking up the car. Can you let me know what time? He goes, well, we're not sure yet. And he goes, well, that's okay. I'm going to go hang out with the son of the owner. Silence. He goes, well, let me get back with you. He calls back my son and said, we're going to see if the manufacturer will cover this. And my supervisor's been on vacation, and he's the one that had the say. I've only been working here a month, and we're going to try to help you out. And so then my son calls me at the end of the day. He goes, not only were those 2 parts for $900 replaced, you got a new battery, you got everything cleaned, your $1,500 service is going to cost you $115 total for that guy. And he said they kept emphasizing as a courtesy. And when I get the documentation, it does say it's under warranty. And then the man says to my son, and could you do us a favor? Would you please give us a passing grade of a 5 on the survey, because anything less than a 5 is not passing? And my son said yes. And they still haven't sent me the survey. They've called to see if I'm pleased. And my son said, please, Mom, send the survey to my email in. So what I learned, several things, is I do not need to make a split decision anymore over the phone. I've got to be more positive and empowered, that just because I'm a female, I'm not going to be taken advantage of. And what really I remembered is when Mark gave his talk, I said, oh, and by the way, besides totally surrendering that night after telling my son, I did pray to all my deceased loved ones and say, please, please, and I always call them miracles, let there be a cheap and quick repair of my car. So what I remember of Mark saying, often when we go through challenges and obstacles, you don't know the outcome, you don't have control over the timing, and so to me, I mean, the outcome, I would have never imagined that. And I did verbally say a treatment throughout the evening, which I do think helped somewhat, but I probably should have called on the practitioners, I should have written it out. And, I said, okay, I really saw a lot of positive. I said, because I made the mistake and said yes to them to start the repair, that ended up helping me get the whole thing free, because otherwise, if they would have said, yes, go come and pick up the car tonight, I would have started all over at other car repair places getting so it did. It was more and beyond what I ever expected. But, thank you.
I got a car like you to take a look at later, too. But I'm not sure about that dealership. Okay, more stories. Not war stories, but more stories. Okay, good, that's it.
Thank
All yours.
I think what I,
Ring the bell.
oh,
You're doing good.
I think what I would say to you is, nothing is more powerful than your own prayer. Your prayer is, not that everything helps, but never doubt the power of your own prayer. Okay, today I'm going to read the prayer. Every month there's a prayer. Some months I really groove on those prayers, and some months maybe not so much. This month was very good, and it coincides with Reverend Carolyn, who's doing every January the beginning. And this prayer is called Getting Grounded Back to Basics, which is what we're doing. So, this is a prayer. I realize the infinite oneness that is God, that ever-present substance that composes all people, all places, all things. This energy of God shows up in the most natural and organic ways. From the earth, at its very core, to the tiniest of atoms in the universe, we are not even aware of yet. I know from the center of my being, God is the foundation of all things. Just as the soil beneath the surface is the foundation that supports the roots of a tree, I know the divine is the foundation that supports every aspect of my being. As I realize the power and strength of what this truth means to me, I take a deep breath. Because understanding that I am one with the very fabric and the essence of all life is a game changer. This absolute knowing courses throughout my body on a deep and empowering level that can never be taken from me. I feel intimately and strongly connected to all. I experience a confidence and a strength in this knowing. As I recognize and feel what it means to know the qualities of being grounded in God, I experience the qualities of power, love, freedom, peace, and joy, and I know that I am one with the intangible essence of unadulterated love. I know I am safe. I know all is well. I give incredible thanks to know this truth. I give thanks for the peace and confidence in my step, in my voice, in my thoughts, and in my body as I embark on the adventures of today and every day going forward. The love, the peace, the being in the flow as I joyfully embody what it means to be and stay grounded is unmatched. I am grateful to be grounded in my body. I am grateful to be grounded in my thoughts. I am grateful to be grounded in my interactions with myself and others. I give deep and incredible thanks to know these truths as I release this word into the law. I know without a shadow of a doubt that as these words are spoken, it is done, and so it is.
So it is.
As was mentioned earlier, this is the month that we do the basics. And last week it was about all in the beginning, God. And we talked about the fact that the reason that Ernest Holmes called it the thing itself was to help us to release all of the baggage that we have with that one word. Some of us have more baggage than others, but to really get us to thinking about it's not just called God. It's the greater intelligence. It's the all-powerful. It's the all-knowing. It's the all-seeing. It is the infinite movement of power in the world. It is the life principle. And there was a point when the life principle was all there was. And it began to meditate, and out of those thoughts, out of that meditation, everything you see around you has come. Since it's come from one substance, we are all of the same substance. And so we cannot be separate from spirit because there is nothing else. Okay, so now this week, we're going to be talking about how we use prayer, how we use our thoughts to build our relationship with spirit. And so we're going to be talking about that and how we might do it. So, what? Am I not on?
You got turned off somewhere.
Okay. Okay, so the power of thought brings us to the ability to ask the question, does what I am thinking support the life I am trying to live? Is what I'm thinking supporting the life I want to live? Because the creativity within your own life is your thought. And it marries with the total thought, the intelligence of the universe, the life principle. But it is you that is creating the world that you live in. Sometimes we do it by default, sometimes we do it very purposely, and sometimes we just go along not really paying attention. And so the idea is to think about how our thoughts create our lives, and we've all heard that before, but to see it in maybe a different way. So what do you think? How much does that glass, one of those glasses, weigh?
One weighs 8 ounces and the other one weighs 4 ounces.
So it is the weight of the glass and the weight of what fills the glass makes for the total weight of the glass. Okay? Now those two elements are easy for us to understand. We got that. But we also have to add the element of time. Now, let's see what we think about that. This is a glass of pineapple juice. And it's a very pretty glass. It's a very lightweight glass. And right now, it's very light. It's easy to hold. And if I were to hold it during my entire talk, by the time my talk was over, I would be ready to put it down. What if I had to carry it every day of my life, all the time? You know, I always had this glass in my hand that was always affecting my life, because you can't open a door if you don't have at least one hand. So this one always has to stay empty so I can open a door. You know, all those different things, because I'm carrying around this glass that's getting heavier and heavier and heavier. Our thoughts are like that. We all have thoughts that we have been carrying around since we were 5 years old or 10 years old or 20 years old or whatever. And these thoughts have been in our subconscious, and they get heavier and heavier because we don't deal with them. We don't look at them. We don't go in and say, is that thought worth my energy? When I was somewhere before 9 years old, I don't know if I was 7 or 8, Christmas was coming, and I asked my mother what day of the month Christmas came on. And she answered me the 25th, but my brothers got involved in it too. And they were very quick to tell me that was stupid. I didn't even know what day Christmas was on. I'm really a stupid old girl, you know? And they just went on and on. Now, there was a time in my life when I could tell you that, and that would sum up my relationship with my brothers. They were very quick to tell me what was wrong with me. And every once in a while I think, what happened to the big brother that takes care of you? You know? That didn't happen in my family. That was just not it. There was too much, I guess, competition. I don't really know. When I got to be a really full adult, you know, I had children of my own and all, and I looked at them as they were growing up, they were both very insecure for different reasons. They both had their own security issues, their own I'm worthy issues that I didn't see when I was 8 years old. All I saw was that they were tearing me up, and that they had done it before and that they would do it again. And so I had for a long time that feeling that I felt that day, that I was so embarrassed. You know, I should have known. I should have known. I really, they're right. I'm just not very smart. You know, I should have known. I just didn't know what they were right. I'm not observant enough, and I'm not smart enough. And all of that would just come in, bam. Now, it affected how I responded to work. It affected how I responded to the people in my life, you know, in all those ways. But, you know, you do get smarter sometimes. And I got smarter, and I started thinking about that, because that memory brought me pain. And so I didn't want to carry that pain anymore. That glass was really full. It was really heavy, and I was ready to put it down. And so I thought about it, and I know most of you know the word reframing. I thought about it and realized that my brothers were not exactly Rhodes Scholars themselves. And they weren't exactly, you know, the kindest people in the world, especially to me. And they were also having their own growing up issues. And when I could see it that way, then I was no longer hurt or angry. And so I worked on seeing it that way for quite some time, to understand that that memory did not have to stay as it was currently. I could go back to it and I could reframe it. I've done that with a number of things in my life. The first time I ever heard of it, I was going to a psychologist, and he worked on reframing things with me. And, you know, there were several different issues or thoughts or stories or whatever that needed reframing because they were definitely holding me down and holding me heavy. And he taught me to do that, and it was after that that I dealt with this particular memory and let it go and let it move on. And so when you think about something that's happening in your life that is constantly coming back to you, ask yourself, how can I reframe this? Did they really intend to cause lifelong pain, you know? Or were they just doing what boys do, is just talking off the top of their head? And it was a lot of fun to make fun of someone else, because then nobody was making fun of you. And so I really got that and let that go. But you can do that with anything. You can do it with any memory that you have in your life. You can go back and you can reframe it. Sometimes we need help to do it, but it still is something that we can do. Now, there are three. Okay, I must have already hit the button. Somebody tell me when I hit this button, will you? There are 3 points. Don't believe everything you think. Don't believe everything you think. Just because that thought is in your head, it is not real. It can be or it can't be, but it is not necessarily. You know, if you've ever seen somebody in a crowd and you thought you knew them and you rushed to catch up with them, and they weren't that person at all. Okay? You were so sure it was them that you ran to catch up. You have all sorts of times when you're thinking something and later on it's proven to be wrong. Now, those are the easy ones, that you see a lady, you know, you think you know her, and you find out it's not who you thought it was. You think that the lady in the grocery store who did not say hi to you, now, you didn't say hi to her either, but she did not say hi to you, and you know she saw you, is mad at you. And you don't know why. Why is she mad at me? I don't know why. Well, I don't want her to be mad at me. That's not fair. I didn't do anything. And off you go, you know? It's so easy to go on these trails of thoughts that take us places we don't really want to be. All right, the second one is, how do you think your beliefs affect your life? Have you thought about this? Have you really, really considered how your beliefs affect your day-to-day life? If you believe that the world is for you, you live one life. If you believe that the world is after you, you lead another life. If you believe that people are good, mostly people are good, then you live one life. If you believe that people are bad, and you have to be constantly aware that they're out to get you, people are not trustworthy, they're mean, and they're coming after you, then you live a different life. If you believe that you have the confidence to do whatever it is that you choose to do, you live one kind of a life. If you don't have that confidence, then you live another. And so whatever you believe about the world or about yourself determines how you make decisions. It determines what you're coming from. You know, okay, I can't do that. But think about that. What I was thinking about was I have a tendency to think that people are always not loyal, that people are not loyal. And I have found that to be in my life sometimes, and so I've kind of blanketed everyone, you know, not everyone, but that they're not loyal. And so when something happens that to me feels disloyal, I've got a whole bunch of thoughts about that. I got a whole lot of feelings. I got a whole lot of stuff just about that being loyal. And I have to ask myself if I'm loyal, and I think I am. But it is something, that belief makes decisions for me. It makes these decisions based on that belief. But if I stop And I look back and I think, well, yes, you did have this and this and this and this, but you also had this and this and this and this. And they were very loyal. They were very kind people. And they were in your life as well. Then I can reframe it, see it in a new way, and not let it carry the same pain that it has carried up until that time. All right. So now, in the next minute, can you think of a belief that you need to change? Is there one that is holding you back that you really need to change? What would it take to be able to change it? How could you see it differently? If somebody wants to share a belief and get feedback from the group, that's fine with me. But to think about, where did that belief come from? Is it truly valid for you today? Yes?
Sure. So an example that comes up for me is I sometimes go to a place of that I have to find the right sequence to do something. Like I have to get really present before I can deal with my bills. And you know what? When I just do it, it works out just fine. You know, but I put a sequence on it, and that's a limiting belief that I'm learning to play with, like what
Yeah.
be more flexible about.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know where it came from?
Yeah, because I had been in spiritual contexts where that was sometimes taught, that you didn't, that there was a sequence to things. And though I think those sequences are useful, I don't think that they have to be always that way.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm just getting more flexible about that.
And it's actually, they're useful, and they can also be detrimental. Yeah, so it's not either or with a lot of our beliefs. It's the nuances and how we let it affect us.
Yeah, it's very empowering at the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, good. Okay, this is what a thought looks like, or how it progresses. You come up with something that you need an understanding about. You don't really have an understanding, you have a question mark. And so you think about that, and if you can define that question more clearly, then it will be answered more quickly and easily. So you look at the question, what is it that you're looking to understand? And when you get that it goes into the brain, the cogs and all that in your brain, and it goes through all this different stuff, and it gets, mashed this way and mashed that way, and this belief gets added to it, and that belief gets added to it, and this gets added, and that, and it's all in there, and it's all just churning away, and then all of a sudden, it comes out as an idea. Okay, all right, I got an idea. Sometimes we need to ask ourselves, is that a good idea? Or is that following my pattern of hiding from the good ideas? Does that make sense? Yeah, yeah. So, so you really need to look at the idea when it comes out and ask yourself, would this be beneficial to me and to my world right now? And if it is, then you thumbs up and you go into action and you move and you do whatever it is that you need to do to answer that first question, to deal with it, to solve that problem, to be present to it. So I just thought that was, be patient with the process. You get the idea and you want to answer right now. You want to know exactly what you're supposed to do, or where you're supposed to go, or who you're supposed to trust, or whatever it is. And you want it right now. But it's going to go in, and it's going to be massaged, and it's going to be looked at in different ways, and it's going to kind of bounce out this way and come back in, and bounce out that way and come back in, and it's still in that whole massage part. It's all still getting that idea clear to be something that you want. That process can take a long time. Depending on what you're asking, it can take a long time, or it can be instantaneous. It just depends on where you are and what you're asking, okay? So then you have the idea, and you take the action to support it, and you move forward. And so that brings you then to the best conclusion at that point in your life. You know, sometimes the conclusion that works today doesn't work tomorrow. It made perfect sense today. It didn't make any sense at all tomorrow. And so you have to be aware that that is happening as well. I wanted to share a couple of quotes with you. This one comes from Ernest Holmes. Life is a mirror and will reflect back to the thinker what he thinks into it. So whatever you're filling your subconscious with, whatever you're filling your day with, you know, there are 60,000 thoughts a day. 90% are repeats. So you're thinking the same thing over and over and over and over again. You know, it's running around in that brain, and it's just, you know, it's just the same things. So you need to be able to look at that and say, okay, I've had this one a long, long time, and I don't believe it's reflecting back to me the life I want. So I'm going to change it. Something real easy is that I don't deserve to be rich. Rich people are not trustworthy people. And so I don't deserve to be rich, and I don't want to be rich because I don't want to be those people that you can't trust, you know. And those are kind of deep held things, and so you go on and look back about that. And in the ministry, it used to be a minister doesn't have anything, doesn't have any money, they're at the beck and call of the congregation, you know, all that kind of good stuff. Well, we gave that up, mostly. But I've met ministers are still there, you know. And so look at what it is and how it's working into what you want to have. If you want to be rich, then you need to worry, you need to think about the things that tell you that's not a good thing and eliminate them. Does that make sense? You know, first, the most intelligent thing I ever heard about the lottery was if you want to win the lottery, you have to be okay if you don't. So it's that balance, it's that openness, it's that, okay, this looks like a really good idea, and if it doesn't happen, it's not a really good idea. Something else will. So this one comes from Wayne Dyer. Choose to avoid thoughts that weaken you, and you will know true wisdom. It is your choice. Choose to avoid thoughts that weaken you, and you will know true wisdom. It is your choice. Thoughts that weaken you. When you get older, you have all these things to deal with. And I've said to people, getting old is not for sissies, you know, and all that kind of stuff. Well, that's not really serving me very well. So I'm working on changing those attitudes, changing that idea that just because you've been around a number of years, that you have to expect to have this, that, or the other. And also the belief that the doctor I go to knows everything. I got to give that up because he doesn't. None of them do, you know. So anyway, so you think about what it is that you want to change, what it is that if you change that, your life would be different. The power of thought, as you use the power of thought, it brings you into alignment with the great intelligence, the great life principle, and you build that relationship with Spirit stronger and stronger. I wanted to share an affirmation to close this up. And so, repeat with me, please. Thoughts are things. Therefore, my thoughts are empowering and positive, and I live an empowered and positive life. Say that about 100 times a day, and then call me in 2 weeks and let me know how your life changed. Okay? All right. Lo is moving to the piano, and we're moving to meditation. I ask you to relax, feet on the floor, hands in the lap. And take a deep breath. You're meditating. The moment you took that breath and inwardly turned your thoughts to the quiet and to Spirit, you're meditating. And so I invite you to open yourself to listen to what it is that is your gift today. Just breathe into it. It may be the first thing you think, or it may be the fourth thing you think. Just breathe and be open to your gift. With each breath, sink a little lower, open a little wider, and be ready to receive. Take a breath. Look to see if there's something else that you're ready to hear. Express gratitude for the infinite Spirit speaking to you. And with a deep breath, we bring ourselves fully aware of the chair we're sitting on, the room we're in, the people around us, the music we hear, and we are totally present right here and now. And so it is.
Sorry, excuse me. I was still being the light of God.
Okay, now is the time for our 21st century giving. We gratefully accept your credit, debit cards available at the back table behind Vernon. And, oh, I'm supposed to do that. Oh, well. Here's to knowing, oh, Dave, please help me. And join me, our affirmation here. Here's to knowing 2020 brings new, exciting, wonderful, youthful, extraordinary, abundant rejuvenation to us all. Yes.
And so we give thanks with great joy for all our blessings, for all our tithes and offerings. We know that you're giving in joy and in love, and we receive in that same light, in joy and in love. For we will use this money to bless each of us and to bless the community. And so thank you. All right. The prayer box is over there, and we did have one prayer in it, and I just love it. It's a prayer of gratitude. And so we're going to spend a few minutes being grateful. We do know that there is God and nothing else, whatever we may call it. It is only the one life principle and nothing else. And so we know that we mold it with our own thoughts. And right now we are molding it in our lives as gratitude and joy. Gratitude for all that is ours. Gratitude for all that we are. Gratitude for the potential in front of us. For all the history behind us. For all is life and all is ours to experience. And so with hearts filled with gratitude and joy and life, we let it be. And so it is. Okay, stand as you're able for our closing song.
We are love.
ahead, circle up. I got fringe. Oh, dear. Okay. All right. Okay. So we feel the love in this group. We feel the love and the support and the friendliness and the hope and the joy. And we know that it is all good. We bring our own and we receive from others. And we are so grateful for that very thing. And so we go forth rejoicing in the power that is us. Spirit, life, joy, living to the fullest all that we are, with hearts filled with gratitude. And so it is. Yes.
The meeting today is from noon to 1.
Yes.
Thank you.
There's actually a fee to get out the door.
Thank you. I appreciate it.